this video, we're going to be talking about methods and how we use methods within our Vue components. So I'm going to open up VS Code, and I'll also open up Chrome. All right, so I have my project over here. Let me open it up in VS Code. All right, so here we go. We have this form right here, and it takes a few inputs. We have title, message, link, and image URL. What we want to do is we want to add a button down here so that we can add this new information to our list of cats, which is right over here. So we're going to use a method inside of Vue JS. The first thing I want to do is let's add a button. So we'll come right down here and we'll just say button. It's going to be of type submit, and we'll say, let's go ahead and we want it to say add cat. So I'm going to save that, and it automatically updated over here. And now we have this button that says add cat, but it doesn't do anything. So that's where methods come in Vue JS. So what we can do is if we jump down here into our script and then our export default, and we want to put it, it doesn't really matter where you put it in here, but I like to be consistent when I do this. Some people do it alphabetically. I'm going to put it after my data and after my components. So right after components, in Vue JS, we can say methods and provide an object of methods. Let's jump over to the vuejs.org website and see what they have to say about methods. All right, and we'll say learn, guide, and all right, methods, details, methods to be mixed into the Vue instance. You can access these methods directly on the VM instance or use them in directive expressions. All methods will have their this context automatically bound to the Vue instance. Note, you should not use an arrow function to define a method. Okay, we know what an arrow function is, but the reason is arrow functions bind to the parent context, so this will not be the Vue instance as you expect, and this.a will be undefined. Okay, so down here, the plus would be our method, and then a colon, and then function, and we provide our function. Okay, that sounds simple enough. Let's go ahead and add a new method for adding our cat to our list. So it says we want to name our method. I'm going to name this method add cat. All right, and just like the example, and in this method, I want to take all of the information right here in new cat, and I want to add it to the beginning of the list of cats. I'm going to come back. So we already saw that we're using vModel right here to bind new cat, the input, to the new cat title, message, link, visible, and image down here. So what we want to do is we want to pass this entire new cat object, and we want to add it to the beginning of our list of cats. And we're going to do that with this method down here. So we have a method, it's called add cat, and now let's tell it what to do. Now this should just be plain JavaScript. So I should be able to say this dot, we'll use list of cats. So we want the list of cats, and we want to unshift, which is how we add to the beginning of an array. And we just want to add this dot new cat. We want to pass it the new cat object. All right, that's simple enough. Now, when we pass it the new cat object, we want to reset all the values of new cat. So we basically want to set all these title, message, link, and image URL back to the default. But before we do that, I want to make sure that this is actually working. So we're going to leave it just like this for right now, and we're going to add a new cat, and hopefully it should put it right here at the beginning of our list. I'm going to save this. Now we need to tell our application when they click the add button or the add cat button, we want it to fire this method down here. So right here on button type submit, we have our add cat button. Now Vue has v-on directives, and with v-on you would type v-on and then an event. So we want this to fire on click. All right, and then we have to tell it what do we want when someone clicks, when that event happens, what do we want it to do? And we want it to fire our add cat method. So we'll say add cat, and that should do it. So v-on the click event, fire the add cat method. Now there's something else I want to point out. In our previous videos, we talked about binding and shorthand syntax, and in previous videos it would be v-bind a colon and then whatever we're binding to. But for the v-on, we have shorthand syntax for v-on as well, and we can actually get rid of all of this v-on, and we can just put the @ symbol. So the @ symbol is shorthand syntax. You would say @ and then the event. So I'm going to leave this just like this. We should be able to save. I'm going to save, and let's go ahead and type some information in here and see if we can add a cat. We're going to click. Hopefully we're going to fire our click method of add cat, and then what we're expecting is this new cat information to be added to the beginning of our list of cats. So let's go ahead. We're going to title this new cat. Our message is going to be we love new cats. Our link will just be we'll just do new cats, and let's go grab an image URL from Google. All right, and let's just find a square picture. This one looks fine. I'm going to copy the image address. We're just going to supply the image URL, so I can paste that right in here. All right, so we got our preview. Now we're hoping when I click add cat, it's going to take this right here and add it to the beginning over here. So I'm going to click add cat. Pretty cool. So we just took all of this data right here and we added it to the list of cats. Now right now I can click this and keep clicking this and keep clicking this a whole bunch of times, and we're just adding this same information. It would be nice if this form, when you click add cat, if it reset this so that it went back to the default of just blanks. I had to rewind the video to show you guys something important. If you'll notice, as I remove the new cat title from our new cat card, it's hiding all of the new items in our array because we're using v-bind. Our input fields are actually bound to the new cat object. I suppose in some situations this would be desirable, but in our case it's not. We could create a copy of our new cat object and add that to the array, but in our case we're just going to reset the object entirely. Let's go ahead and add that to our form so that when we add a cat, this gets reset back to all blanks. And the way we're going to do that is with another method. So we'll come down here, and after our add cat function, let's do reset cat. All right, and just like above. All right, so now we have our reset cat. It has a function, and we want to put all of the new cat properties back to their default. So I'm just going to copy out this object. I'm just going to copy that, and these are the default settings. And we'll come back here, and we should be able to say this dot new cat equals, and we just want to equal to the default information. So when reset cat happens, it just goes, it sets this back to the default from when the component first loaded. So in order to fire this function off, I want to go ahead and we're going to say after we grab our list of cats and we add the new cat to the beginning of the list, let's go ahead and fire off this method right here of reset cat. So we should just be able to say this dot reset cat. All right, let's give it a whirl. Let's try this out. So I'm going to save this and we'll come back over here. We've already reset all of this. So let's just do new cat. This is our message. Our link will just be newcat.com. And let's grab that link for the image URL. Copy image address. We'll come right back over here and let's paste that in. All right, so we have our new cat. Now we're hoping this time when we click add cat, it puts this cat card right here at the beginning and then resets all this information back to the default. So let's give this a try. Pretty cool. Exactly what we expected. We took all the information in here, we added it to the beginning of our list of cats, and then we reset the default for all of our inputs. One more thing I'd like to do is, since we have our reset cat method here, we could put a reset button right over here. Maybe you typed all your information and you changed your mind and you just want to reset it back to the default. So let's do that, and let's go, we'll put it right here underneath our submit button. So I'm just going to copy this, we'll paste it right below, and we should be able to reset, and then at click we want to tell it to reset. All right, and it won't be of type submit, it should be reset. All right, and let's type some information. We're just testing this out, and when we click reset, we reset our form. Pretty cool. Now there is one more thing I wanted to point out before ending this video, and that is you'll notice that we are using a button right here and we have input fields, and you're probably asking yourself, well, we never defined a form and put all of our HTML elements inside of this form tag. And the reason we didn't use the form is because there's default behavior when using certain things like a button inside of a form. If we use the form tag, a lot of times it's expecting an action and it's expecting a method type, and we're providing all this information, and based on the action and the method, when a button of type submit is clicked, it actually tries to fire off this stuff for you. There's some default behavior. Now, one of the things you can do in Vue JS, if you wanted to put this inside of a form element, you have click.prevent, and what this will do is it'll prevent the default behavior. A lot of times when you click submit, it'll actually reload the page. It's not expecting a single page application, and that was the old way of handling an HTML form submit. So if you use the form tag, you may have to use your @ which is the shorthand for v on click.prevent, because we want to prevent the default behavior, and then add your cat. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the form tag, and I'm also going to get rid of this prevent. Side note, I didn't think of this when I was recording the video, but technically, since we're not using the default form tags and we don't want the default behavior of type submit, we can actually delete the type submit and type reset and get rid of that completely. If you end up creating a form, or maybe you're working on a form that already has the form tags and all of these elements are inside, just keep in mind you're probably going to want to use the event, the v-on event with a .prevent to prevent the default behavior. All right, I think this is a good stopping point. If you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notifications on future tutorials. we're going to keep expanding on this Vue JS stuff and dive in a little deeper. In the meantime, go ahead and get your hands dirty, explore these methods, and I'll see you in the next one.